All right, welcome everybody. We are now live streaming on our Facebook page. Welcome to Red or Green Books, American Graveyard Podcast Live. I am your host, Marissa Prada. I am joined by my esteemed colleagues, Rick Spisak, Blitz the Poet, and Angie Williams. Thank you all so much for joining us. Today is June 6, 2026. And our topic this month is Stand Your Above Ground. Before we get started on the topic today, and there is a whole lot to get to, it seems I say that every podcast, like as if 30 days is such a short time for so much gun violence to happen. But here we are yet again for another month with a litany of things to discuss. All right, our mission here at American Graveyard Podcast Live, we are an international collection of artists who come together in a unified global call for an end to gun violence. Each month, we will cover a different topic centered around gun violence. The podcast is composed of facts, opinions, personal stories, local and global news and events, historical information, and other such matters. We will list where information was obtained and do our best to ensure that citations are from reputable and true sources. This is a free speech, not a hate speech zone. Our disclaimer today: this podcast will discuss topics that may be graphic in nature and are unacceptable for some audiences, especially children. The discussions may include firsthand accounts, videos, audios, photographs, articles centered around gun violence. The opinions and viewpoints expressed during the show are not necessarily the opinions and viewpoints of every host, guest host, special guest, Red or Green Books, or The Word is Right. Viewer listener discretion is advised. All right, let's go today. I am like so pumped and jacked to be discussing today's topic, not just because it has a historical significance for the topics that we'll be talking about around gun violence, but because of the last 10 days here in Albuquerque, we have had almost a historic number of police shootings and gun violence. And so this is a hot button issue locally for me here in New Mexico. But there also are a great deal of things that have been happening around the United States and around the world when we discuss gun violence. Just to get a few housekeeping things out of the way, we don't have anyone on the podcast today who's not a normal person, so I'm not too worried. If any of you need to unmute and chit chat or add to the discussion today, please do so. If you would like to grab your copy of American Graveyard, we have the literary book and we have the art book. The literary anthology is 200 pages. The full color art book is 50. You can get both of them on the website, redorgreenbooks.com, red, READ. Volume 2 is coming out this year. We're so excited for Volume 2. And that is like such a, I don't know, I feel some sort of way about saying I'm so excited for Volume 2 of American Graveyard because it is such a heavy, really terrible thing that we have to write about as artists. But we will nevertheless continue our fight and calls for an end to gun violence. And so Volume 2 is incredibly moving. You can put your pre-orders in on the website as well. All right, no hate speech, no bombing, no misusing the chats. Make sure that you identify yourself. If you're coming into the Zoom room today, please make sure your name is on the screen. Don't just have it be iPhone. I will not let you in. All right, so last month we had our topic reporting the truth. But we really kind of just talked about so many events that had been happening in the 30 days. It was a very intense podcast. There was so much that had been happening around the world and locally, United States, and in our own communities. Kind of similar to that today. Big shout out to Alexis Garcia for her poem in the original American Graveyard anthology. Her poem was titled American Graveyard, and thus has given us the namesake for the series. So you can find her VexLex on Instagram and social media. This month we are doing Stand Your Above Ground. All right, so just as we get started, I'm going to let you know the two case studies we're going to talk about today is the George Zimmerman case in the shooting death of Trayvon Martin. We're also going to be talking about the Susan Lawrence case from Florida just a few years ago in the shooting death of A.J. Owens, which became a Netflix documentary. We're going to discuss those. I do have a bunch of videos we'll get to. And there is a video that George Stephanopoulos does on ABC News where he talks about the Kyle Rittenhouse and Alex Preddy shootings for having weapons, having guns at protests. I think that is a very interesting, his perspective of that is very interesting as well. And I'm gonna discuss the epic behemoth laundry list here. This is just the things from the last 30 days. This isn't even all of them. They're just the ones I'm going to mention today, because there's so many other things I'm not even going to mention today. But some local global events that have happened since the last podcast. Blitz sent me this: gunman opens fire on busy Massachusetts roadway. Here in Albuquerque, the Frontier restaurant, there's a 23-year-old ambushed and killed outside of the Frontier. That is super important to me as an artist and a poet, because every time I have the New Mexico Poetry Summit, I take poets to the Frontier restaurant. It is a mainstay staple restaurant across from the university here. Poets have eaten there. I love to go there. And this young man was lured, ambushed, shot, and killed behind the Frontier. It's just absolutely devastating story. Then we have, I don't know if you guys were following this or not, the criminal trial for Ebony Parker. She was the ex-assistant principal who was charged after Abigail Warner was shot by her kindergarten student. Remember this, where the kindergartner brought the loaded gun to class, and the principal was told multiple times the child was reported to have a gun, and this kindergarten child, shot his teacher, Abigail Warner. And so the ex-assistant principal was on trial. So we're going to discuss a little bit about that. 3 killed in the San Diego Islamic Center. 2 teen suspects are dead. A gunman was killed by the Secret Service by the White House. Oh, this story was absolutely devastating, right? In Phoenix, in Glendale, more specifically, a mom and her 2 kids died. They were killed. She shot and killed her kids and shot and killed herself. This domestic dispute, absolutely just horrific. In Italy, they unveiled a shroud, if you will, and they listed the names of all the children who had been killed in the Palestinian children who had been killed in the war in Gaza. It is 18,457 names. So if you can just imagine, almost 19,000 children have been killed in Palestinian children have been killed in the war. It's absolutely just breathtaking. And most recently, 7 people were killed in a domestic dispute in southeast Iowa, including, again, a mother and children. So many things to get to today. The 4 police shootings in Albuquerque. We've had 4 police shootings in the last 10 days, which goes back to 2022. We had a record number of shootings. We had 18 police shootings in 2022. So we'll talk about those shootings. We'll talk about the outrage in the community. What is law enforcement doing? What should they be doing if they're not doing the right things? What should our elected officials be doing to help change the laws? And all the regular questions that we ask, like, why is law enforcement not more upset at the gun violence? Where's the family of these law enforcement officers? Why are they not more upset that their loved ones have to go to these calls where people are touting guns? Is it because they can just shoot and kill the suspects and there's no recourse? I don't understand. But there should be more, in my opinion, I feel there should be more outcry from law enforcement and from the families of law enforcement who send their loved ones to protect and serve. And maybe there's just so much death that people have become complicit, and it doesn't matter if you have a badge, you can kill anyone. And so maybe that's why people aren't caring so much. I don't know. But let's get going today. I welcome all of you. If you guys want to chime in, I usually go in order of who showed up first. So we'll go Rick, Blitz, and Angie. Go ahead and chime in if you have anything you want to chit chat about before we get today's topic started. Hi.
One of the things that I learned, because as a non-gun carrying, non-gun owner person, I am concerned with the proliferation of guns in a country where there's more guns than people. It's just appalling. And when I hear the excuses that people say, well, I have to protect myself against an overreaching government, I have to laugh, because anyone who imagines that no matter how many guns they have in their house, they can outgun the militarized police, they're just delusional. And then the other thing is, when I looked at the topic of this, uh, stand your ground, I wondered what was the historic context that this was in. And what I learned was that this goes back to early English law in the 1600s. And you have to understand, not only was it racist, it was also economically unjust as well, because not everyone could stand your ground, not everyone could defend their castle, not everyone had a castle, and those rights, that right of self-protection or self-defense, was not granted to everyone. Only the rich land-owning ruling class, and workers, peasants, they had no rights whatsoever. And it turns out, before there was stand your ground, there was the duty to retreat. And the duty to retreat said, if you were being confronted, life, life was what was important. Life. You chose to protect yourself and the other person by retreating to the nearest wall that you could hide behind. That was your duty, the duty to protect life. And then this has evolved. So, having tossed my 2 cents into the arena, I'll be quiet now.
No, please don't be quiet. It's a podcast. I do like how you say that duty to protect life, and we should actually make that one of our topics, because I think people perhaps are really disconnected with the concept of life. And I think when you begin to devalue someone's life based on their gender, their race, their religion, their age, their mental capacity, their abilities or inabilities to do things, you really begin to objectify a human being and forget that they are human. Every one of us is someone. Every life matters. It's a really important thing to remember, that when you're pointing a gun at someone, or you own a gun, you have to be prepared to point it at someone. You have to remember that is a human life.
you
And
know,
I think, yes, go
I
ahead,
was
Ray.
just going to add one other point, and I think you raised it very well. We used to have a pride, just like we used to have a pride in our justice system, our free press. We used to kind of sneer at what we call third world countries, because their life is cheap, implying that here we have better values. Here, life is more precious, and over there, life is cheap. But I think what we see from this gun-toting mentality is that they have brought that kind of thinking, that life is cheap, it's expendable, I can just shoot you to solve my problem. That we can't say that anymore, and that's a terrible thing.
I'm very concerned with the detachment of law enforcement to understand that these are human beings, right? I've said before on this podcast, I was very hopeful, because we had made all those changes when the feds came in and they said, you guys have to reform your police force, and we signed this agreement to do that. And I saw strives in this community, like, to change the way that law enforcement interacts with people in crisis, or handles people who are having breakdowns, to be able to use less lethal force. And I'm so concerned. Like, I have had so many instances with APD, Albuquerque Police Department, in the last 12 months on a personal level. I would say 99% of my interactions with law enforcement have been with people less than 30 years old. Young people, who seem kind of compassionate, but also very lacking knowledge, basic human knowledge, about the dynamics of human beings, about even the law, right? What is legal and what is not legal. And it's heartbreaking for me to think that these young people are coming to do this job. They definitely are not receiving the training that they need to. They don't have the life experience to be able to relate to the things that we were going through on the personal side of it, and didn't have the knowledge of the law to support what citizens are asking for. And so when you can then couple inexperience with a lack of understanding of the law or knowledge of the law with the dehumanization of your citizens, um, is shooting and killing them really going to be that bad? And clearly it's not. And I don't know. I mean, law enforcement doesn't come on the podcast. They won't come on the podcast. Families of law enforcement won't come on the podcast. Elected officials won't come on the podcast. So, like, if they want to, they're welcome to bring your 2 cents and discuss it and talk about it. But so far, nobody really wants to be part of the discussion. And if you're talking about trying to bridge between a community and your law enforcement after killing a lot of your community, you really should start to build those bridges. And that comes through discussion. Um, Anyways, Blitz, I know that you had talked about the Carmelo Anthony thing. Did you want to add anything as we get started today?
Kind of wanted to chime back on what Rick said, and what you just mentioned, with some of the law enforcement being under the age of 30. I think that is such a disconnect in society when social skills are part of the reason why people react the way they react. If they're not raised to interact with people and their main thing is communicating via text or online, that's part of the problem. Because if they're not rooted with being sociable, they're not going to know how to de-escalate the situation. And so their first resort is to use violence instead of talking and trying to, I don't want to say negotiate, but reason with the person. Because if the first reaction is lethal force, your social skills need to be assessed, which means it starts with the training and it starts with the upbringing. Because if you're not used to being around people, how can you work with people? And how can you take a job where you are to service the people if you don't know how to be around people?
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, I understand that law enforcement is not at the top of everyone's bucket list of jobs that they want to do, and recruiting is difficult. And I get that. You probably just want to put as much more bodies on the street as possible, but that is not the right thing to do. It's not the right way to go about it, especially in today's society where there's such a discord and there's such a disconnect and distrust between civilians and law enforcement. And I will tell you right now, and I've said it multiple times, we are not anti-gun, we're anti-gun violence. We're not anti-cop, we're anti-police brutality. Okay? So, like, let's keep that real. Let's not lose sight of what we're really discussing here on the podcast. Okay, anyone who listens to this podcast or understands what we're trying to do is not to create bigger holes or bigger wounds. We're trying to build bridges. We're trying to come up with solutions, and it's just very difficult when we continue to see the same toxic cycle happening around guns. Yes, Angie.
Okay, I want to expound on what Rick said. Um, to an extent, we have never really cared about wildlife, and the reason I said that is because one, uh, they it, murder was select. If you were black, Chinese, Mexican, whatever, you were considered less than, and they would kill you because less than. They considered the Native Americans, they considered them savages. All of that. Blacks, they were just slaves, they had no value. Women, to an extent, back in the day, had no value. So, unless we change the ancestral mentality and say that all people, because you still have your white supremacists out there that's
Mhm.
and they don't care. So I agree that we need to start at home. Hate is bred. Hate breeds hate. And until we start be, changing that mindset, we're never going to go anywhere. And then when you see the highest person in the country picking a fight, what are you supposed to do? That's all I have to say.
No, that's totally, and that's it's an absolutely valid thing. That's why next month when we do the 4th of July podcast, it's going to be um, America the Beautiful. Violence starts at the top. We just, it has to. This is a leadership role. Whether you're the leader at a gym or you're the leader of the United States of America, leadership starts from the top down. And if all you tout is disrespect and lies, then that is going to spread culturally through the entire system. And it's definitely going to continue to forge divisions and forge mistrust and dishonesty. And so we really need to consider where we live and who our leaders are and our role in that community. So today, I'm gonna jump into this. I'm gonna read you real quick a little bit about stand your ground, because those of you who might not be familiar with what stand your ground is and how it works, here we go. Stand your ground laws state that an individual has no legal duty to retreat from a confrontation in a place they are lawfully present before using reasonable force, including deadly force, to defend against a perceived threat of imminent death or severe bodily harm. Now, I will say that if someone's trying to break in my home and I got my daughter with me, I'm going to fight to the death to protect her. Okay. Like, there's no doubt about that. I will go down fighting. And I believe everyone has the right to defend themselves and protect themselves and their children and their family and their loved ones when there's a real perceived threat where you're fighting for your life. That is never going to be something I think any of us question. Everyone should be able to defend themselves and their family. The duty to retreat versus stand your ground, right? Duty to retreat, traditional self-defense, requires individuals to attempt a safe retreat before resorting to deadly force. So in school, right, back in California, they used to teach kids to go under the desk during earthquake drills. And we have fire drills at school. Now we also have Code Alice drills, which are active shooter drills. Run, hide, fight. That's the order: run, hide, fight. We're going to talk about that. That's an upcoming topic on the podcast as well. So the stand your ground, it removes the obligation of duty to retreat. You have the right to stand your ground and use proportional force to counter an imminent threat of death or serious bodily harm. Proportional force, right? In this case, it doesn't necessarily say moment to moment, right? In law enforcement, it's a moment to moment assessment, right? Because one moment a suspect may brandish a gun, and the next moment the suspect may have dropped the gun, no longer is in possession of the gun. So you have to take that moment to moment assessment. In stand your grounds, I don't think it's necessarily that clear cut. It just says proportional force. The Castle Doctrine, it says, while stand your ground usually applies to public spaces, the Castle Doctrine specifically pertains to your home, your vehicle, or your personal dwelling. The Castle Doctrine establishes that you do not have a duty to retreat from an unlawful intruder in your own space. Stand your ground essentially expands this principle to areas outside the home. So at least 31 states have codified stand your ground protections to their statutes, including Florida, Texas, and Georgia. Duty to retreat states still have that doctrine. If you can retreat. And New Mexico does not have a formal stand your ground statute, but the Supreme Court rulings have established that there's no duty to retreat before using force in public. So conditions for justified force, regardless of state, using deadly force in self-defense generally requires proving that, number one, you are not the initial aggressor. This is going to come in handy because the George Zimmerman case, okay? Number two, you had a reasonable fear of imminent death or severe bodily harm. And number 3, the level of force used was proportional to the threat. All right, so those are some of the things you can grab at the National Conference of State Legislatures online. That are the outlines. We're going to talk, I'm going to show you a quick video. We'll go in kind of a chronological order. The George Zimmerman case is the most archived of the ones that we're going to discuss today. There are so many others. I co-piloted on Google. I did a search for high profile stand your ground cases. Of course, George Zimmerman and the Trayvon Martin came up as number 1. Joe Horn in Texas in 2008, Byron Thomas, Louisiana in the 2010s, Susan Lawrence, Florida, 2024. So those are some of the top 4 that Google gave me, but we're going to discuss the George Zimmerman case. Trayvon Martin was 17 years old. He was an unarmed Black teenager, and he was fatally shot by George Zimmerman, who was the neighborhood watch captain. Zimmerman claimed he was acting in self-defense under Florida's Stand Your Ground law. This was an incredible case. Everything I think we're going to discuss today has racial undertones. I believe all of gun violence in this country is going to have racial, gender, and religious disparities, and it's going to it's absolutely going to always fall back on the underlying systemic racism and gender bias and religious fear in this country. So I'm going to go ahead and play you this clip. This clip is George Stephanopoulos on ABC News, and it's titled "This Week Report on George Zimmerman Verdict Found Not Guilty in the Trayvon Martin's Case." This was 12 years ago. You can find it on the ABC News YouTube channel. So I'm going to do a share screen. We'll hear George's report on it, and then we will talk about it. Here we go.
16 hours of deliberations, a jury of 6 women delivered their decision. Not guilty of murder, not guilty of manslaughter. George Zimmerman is a free man. This trial has captivated and divided the nation, and there were some protests overnight. But from Washington so far, a muted reaction. And in Florida, the first words from the Martin family. Trayvon's mom tweeted that this was her darkest hour. His father said, "Even though I am brokenhearted, my faith is unshattered. I will always love my baby Trey." We have all the fallout this morning from our ABC News team, the Senate Judiciary Committee and the Congressional Black Caucus, our Powerhouse Roundtable, and the Martin family lawyer. ABC's Matt Gutman, who's covered this trial all the way, starts us off from the courthouse in Sanford, Florida. Good morning, Matt. Take us inside that courtroom last night.
Good morning, George. That courtroom was intense. So many eyeballs on it, but it wasn't always this way. This wasn't always headline news. This began as a routine homicide in a small Florida town that ignited this national debate about race. Now, last night in that courtroom, as those 6 female jurors filed, and you could see the tension on the prosecutor's face, on the defense's face. Everybody looked tired. Now, those jurors ultimately made a decision not based on race, but about the law. They decided that the state did not have enough evidence to convince them that George Zimmerman should be convicted on second-degree murder or manslaughter. And just after that was read, you saw George Zimmerman with a very muted response. And then, once he started hugging his family and his attorneys, you saw him break a smile there. Now, noticeably absent from the courtroom last night, Trayvon Martin's parents, George.
And Matt, the security situation in Sanford has been so tight. Everyone's still on high alert?
Very much so, especially the family of Trayvon Martin. Now, there was a reason that they weren't in the courtroom last night. We were told from the sheriff's office here and from their attorneys that the tenor and the severity of the death threats against Trayvon Martin's family have increased, and they felt that it was safer for them to keep them away from the courthouse and to bolster their security. Not just them, Zimmerman and his family also the target of death threats. Now, his attorney told me that George Zimmerman may be a free man. He may have had that ankle bracelet cut off and taken off of him, but he's still walking around with a bulletproof vest, and no matter what happens over the next couple of years, that man may still have to live in hiding. George.
Okay, Matt, thanks very much. Let's get more reaction now from Benjamin Crump, the attorney for Trayvon Martin's family. Mr. Crump, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We know, as you've said, the family is heartbroken. They are still under heavy security. Do they accept the verdict, and what do they want people to know this morning?
Well, they're trying to make sense of it all, George. They want people to know that they're going to continue to fight for the legacy of their son, that he had every right to walk home from the 7-Eleven and not expect to be profiled and followed by a strange man. They're trying to, like many parents, explain to the young people in their family what just happened. What is this about that a child can't have Skittles and a can of iced tea and walk home and not have a bullet lodged in his heart, and his killer not be held accountable for profiling and following him? What? And so that's what they're dealing with, and that's what most parents in America are dealing with.
And we know they're still grieving right now. When you say they're going to fight for their legacy, what form is that going to take? Will you be filing a civil lawsuit against George Zimmerman? And do you want the Justice Department to have a civil rights investigation?
Well, right now they're concentrating on trying to get through this very trying time, George. They have a Trayvon Martin Foundation that they have been working tirelessly on because they know they had no power in the court system. They had to depend completely on the justice system and pray that it would work for them as it worked for everybody else. And so the one thing they can control is this foundation, and Tracy and Sabrina have been trying to do that work so they can make sure there are no other children who get killed as a result of senseless gun violence.
Decision yet on filing a civil lawsuit?
Well, they're going to certainly look at that as an option. They deeply want a sense of justice. They deeply don't want their son's death to be in vain. I mean, they are still in disbelief about his death, and now they're in disbelief about this verdict. It's just one of the things they have to deal with there in church this morning, praying, trying to turn to God, a higher authority, to make sense of it all.
Are you satisfied with how the prosecutors handled this case? Any concern that they overreached and they should have pursued lesser charges as well?
Well, George, I think that the prosecutors are very seasoned prosecutors, and they, in their summations, cut right to the heart of the matter what this case was really about. When Prosecutor John Guy said, if the roles were reversed and Trayvon Martin would have followed and profiled and shot George Zimmerman in the heart, what would the verdict have been? And that's the question that everybody is asking. That's why the whole world was watching this case, to see if everybody can get equal justice, not just certain people. And so that's troubling, George.
It's interesting you bring that up, because Mark O'Mara did speak out last night on precisely that question. Take a look.
I think that the things would have been different if George Zimmerman was black for this reason. He never would have been charged with a crime.
What's your reaction to that?
George, if you go to any courtroom in America on any given day, you will see the number of African-American males being convicted on not much evidence at all. Not that it's right, but you will see that nobody in America worries that black men won't be convicted in court. That is not a big issue. Now, black victims worry about if they are victims to others outside of their community, whether they will be convicted. But I challenge anybody to go to courts all over America, just sit in the back and watch how the justice system plays out when it comes to black males.
So no doubt in your mind that race was at the center of this trial?
Well, I think we would be intellectually dishonest, George, if we don't acknowledge the racial undertones in this case. There is a reason why everybody was watching this case, and they wanted to see if everybody got equal justice. Now, you know, we have to accept the rule of law. There's no guarantee at justice. I told Trayvon's parents that from the beginning. We just have a chance at justice. But we do want people to know that children should be able to live on this earth, walk on this earth, and not feel that they're going to be profiled by what they wear or what ethnicity they belong to. And that has to be something we have to progress from. Where do we go from here? Do we take steps forward to make sure this never happens again, or do we regress and say the precedent is set where you can shoot little minority boys and nobody be held accountable?
Mr. Crump, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Okay, so a lot in that little clip. Well, this one isn't really like a little clip, but there's a lot. There's a whole lot in that interview. Okay. I think when Crump says we would be intellectually dishonest if we neglected the racial undertones of this case, it's astounding, right? So Trayvon, I mean, you got to think about the 17-year-old kid. I don't know how many people listen to the podcast who have children or who have teenagers. You know, they have wings and they fly. And for a young 17-year-old Black boy to go to the corner store to buy Skittles and an iced tea, to be sought after by, profiled by the neighborhood watch head, like who the hell put this guy in charge, right? Like, I mean, white America, stop. I just, I can't. Sometimes I just, anyways. That's a whole TED talk in itself. But you have these communities that are not Black, very afraid, right? And profiling this young 17-year-old kid in hoodie who was Black walking home. And to be able to engage a stranger on the street with a firearm to check him, to search him, to question him, like as a civilian, it's mind blowing. And of course, it escalated into this shooting, and of course Trayvon lost his life, and is this ultimately horrific thing. But how in 12 hours a jury found this guy not even guilty of manslaughter? He shot and killed Trayvon Martin. Let's keep that real. He absolutely killed him. And for him to be found not guilty is, everyone should be afraid. Everyone should be afraid. So yeah, does anyone have anything that they want to talk about or add to the Trayvon Martin case?
I do. One thing you have to remember is that Florida is a southern state. And I don't care how they call it the Sunshine State, it's still a southern state. And racism still is. I am from Birmingham, Alabama, what they used to call Birmingham. Alabama has not changed. Georgia has not changed. Mississippi has not changed. So those are things you have to take in consideration, is the mindset. I understand what it's like to watch where you go. You know, it's bad when you have to sit up and when you want to move, you have to look at the Black-white ratio and look at its history before you move there. That should not be. And Trayvon wasn't the only one that was shot. There was another Black boy. His name was Jordan Davis. He was killed at a convenience store. He and the man argued over his music. And he decided, he said, well, okay. He said that the guy reached for a gun, yet he shot in the back window. He felt like he was standing his ground. So now he's standing his ground in the penitentiary.
Mm.
It's the mindset that needs to change. Unless the mindset changes, where Black, white, Mexican, Native American, Caucasian, where we all see ourselves as equal as true brothers and sisters, it's not going to change. And the police, they back up their guys, right or wrong. So I don't know what the answer is unless we change the Constitution. As long as we got the leader in office that we have now, that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
Because he,
I agree for sure.
but he is also making racial undertones.
Hmm. And not just racial undertones, but the misogyny coming out of the White House, right? I mean, recently he was, I mean, he was commenting on the rape he did, 40 years ago, and everybody's like, that was 40 years ago, that was 25 years ago, right? The way he treated women historically throughout his life. So
Still
but
does.
the racial aspect of it and the objectification of women by our commander in chief. Yeah.
And so because that reporter, when he told her, hush, Miss Piggy, I think I'd have been kicked out of the country, in jail and everything else, because I would have lost it.
Oh my God, the reporter, yeah, yeah.
But for some
Mhm.
reason, people don't think that they can sue Trump. For some reason, they got this thing, you can't sue the federal government, when that is totally not true. It's just
Well,
how
no,
you do it.
he was charged, right? He was charged. He was put on trial, and he was convicted. He's a convicted felon. People forget that he is a
No, but
convicted
it
felon,
doesn't count. It doesn't count
but
because
you can still be
you
president.
can be a felon and be the president. You can be convicted over 8 to 10 charges and not do a day of time.
Yeah.
So it's not showing, it's showing favoritism from the top to the bottom. So we can't possibly get straight when he's setting a precedent.
We're in Blitz's pocket, so I'm going to turn Blitz's camera off. Rick, you're muted.
Despite what the Supreme Court said, racism unfortunately is still alive and well. And unfortunately, brotherhood still needs to be built, needs to be emphasized, needs to be taught, needs to be practiced. It's absurd, the excuses that are made. And the thing is, it's beyond murder. It's the gerrymandering that they are pursuing right now. You know, oh, wait, racism is over. We once had a black president, so all holds are barred. Everybody's equal. Not in the least. And I was shocked. Probably 10 years ago, I was working with some people from the far north, the Wisconsin and Minnesota, and I heard the kind of language about Native Americans that I heard in the South 20 years ago. And I couldn't believe my ears. I think, you guys are still thinking of Indian fighters? Are you kidding me? And that racism for them was as virulent that day as it was 100 years ago. It's appalling. I think that we really need to make human rights, civic rights, much more part of our educational system. Without those pieces in the puzzle, we're relying on, unfortunately, parents who retrain their kids into the same racism that they carry about in their daily life.
I mean, human beings have this incredible ability to dehumanize being human. We saw it systemically during World War II. We saw it just, I mean, tracing even back to the Crusades, right? I have experienced more cruelty from people who are supposed to be Catholics or Christians or believers in God, who are so cruel to their fellow human being.
I had a friend who was a Cuban gentleman. He'd come to America at the end of World War II, joined the army, and was sent to Paris after Paris was liberated by the West, right? And he said the first bar he walked into, he saw a bunch of American soldiers harassing a Jewish American soldier. And they were pushing him, they were shouting at him, they were insulting him. And he said, wait a minute, wait a minute, what are you doing? Do you not know why we're here? Have you so blind that you cannot see the racism that you're showing right now is identical to what the Nazis had. And he said he couldn't believe it that they were that blind to their own twisted nature.
It's yeah, it's absolutely breathtaking to me that we can live in 2026 and still be in a world where the ability to dehumanize one another is so easy, and we have social media, and we have the internet and connectivity in a way that we have never been able to have historically. That is being able to say what is acceptable, what's not, and disturbingly be able to affect people's lives and decisions in a way that will make them less worthy of life. And
Just
it's just devastating.
one other point I'll make, and then I'll be quiet a bit. In South Carolina, they are promoting a law that would allow citizens to murder a woman who has sought an abortion, to
Yeah.
murder the doctor that has helped that abortion, to murder the person who helped drive them to the abortion. That those are free to murder. I mean, and of course, this is to uphold Christian values, I suppose.
Well, it's right. I mean, if you say you're Christian and you follow the teachings of Jesus, I think that the more blood has been shed in the name of God than anything else. But this is not a religious podcast, and I grew up in the church, so we'll have that discussion on a
Not
different
all,
podcast.
by all means, there are
But
good Christians,
it's totally
and
true.
every religion too.
Yeah, I mean, when you and you think even, outside of that, you think about what happened to the Native American tribes who were here. But even in the last, 10 years, we think about our commander in chief and what happened during COVID. It was seen as this Chinese plague, and the Asian hate, the rise in Asian hate in this country, the rise in Jewish hate. We saw after 9/11 the rise in people of Arab descent, or from countries in the Middle East, the absolute hate for those individuals. It's just appalling, the way that human beings have been able to dehumanize people who don't look like them or act like them or speak like them or believe like them. And so, we look at guns as a mechanism to exact a revenge, if you will, or a mechanism to just create justice. And of course, today that's what we're going to be looking at. Specifically, Rachel Johnson, welcome. I'm so excited that you are here. If you would like to contribute to anything that we're discussing, feel free to just unmute your mic or raise your hand. This next video I'm going to show everyone, and so we're doing these like kind of larger, broader cases, and then we're gonna zone in on some of the things that have been happening here in Albuquerque. This is a case that I watched very closely when it happened, especially in the fallout of the George Zimmerman case. I was very upset, and I was glad when the case went to trial, and of course for the verdict, because if you followed the Zimmerman case, you really lost faith in everything. And so this is going to be the clip on the Susan Lawrence case from Florida in 2024. So we're looking at now 12 years after the Zimmerman case, same state. The difference is, of course, it's two men versus two women. And different. I would say everything else was probably the same. Race about the same, age about the same. The way that the shooting happened was different, but it was nevertheless rooted in this deep racist connotations and fear. So what happened was this this white woman lived in this community where she had black neighbors, and the black neighbors had kids, and these kids were young, and of course kids play in the neighborhood. That's what they do. And this white woman very much so had a no tolerance to the children, the fact that they were black, the fact they were playing near her home, all these things. And so there, this woman continued to call the police, create reports, create chaos, create this tension in the neighborhood. And the woman had confronted some of the children. The children went and got the mom. The mom went to go talk to the neighbor. The white woman neighbor on the inside of her home shot a gun from the inside of the home through her front door and fatally shot AJ Owens. It was is in front of her children. Like, it's just it's to say it like out loud. It's almost inconceivable. But if you understand how systemic racism works in this country, if you have done any research at all, if you are educated at all or care at all, if you give a crap at all about what is happening out there, then you will absolutely not be surprised that this white woman did this. And this is a hot button topic to me, considering that most of my chosen family they don't look like me. And so to continue to fight for communities that this is continuing to happen for, and demand that the Justice Department do better, will continue to be a fight that we will trudge on and on and on, especially on this podcast. So I'm going to go ahead and play this for you. This is from News Nation on YouTube. This is titled "Stand Your Ground, Question in Case After Woman Fatally Shot Black Neighbor." So News Nation Live. This was from 2 years ago. It is just a few minutes, and we'll go ahead and share screen, and I will we'll come back together and discuss this case when it is finished. Here we go.
Now state attorney for Palm Beach County, Florida. Dave, this is a tragedy, no matter how you look at it. And we're still going to learn more details about exactly what transpired in this doorway. But the Stand Your Ground law is being questioned once again after some recent cases. What does it say in Florida, particular to this case?
Yeah, good to be with you, Marnie. Stand Your Ground exists in 30 states. In Florida, it essentially takes the castle doctrine anywhere you are, which says that you don't have a duty to retreat if someone is threatening your life. You have to have a reasonable fear that your life is in danger, and then you can meet force with force. You can't bring a gun to a fist fight unless you're in a battle, perhaps with an MMA fighter who can kill you. A woman going to your front door, even if she's knocking aggressively, you can't shoot that person dead with a firearm. So the sheriff is right here that no matter what happened at that door, you can't just shoot through the door and kill someone who's unarmed. And that's why Stand Your Ground does not apply. But it is a controversial law in Florida, and it has been broadened by the state legislature in recent years.
So these two had a long feud, right? Going back a couple of years. How might that play into this?
You know, it really doesn't matter unless the defendant here had reason to believe that the victim was dangerous, was armed. If, for example, the homeowner knew that that the victim had a long criminal history and was violent, that could come into play. But just the fact, and by the way, that we don't have any information of that. By all accounts, this victim was a peaceful person who was trying to protect her kids. And it was the defendant here who was the aggressor, who was one throwing a skate at the children, who was allegedly saying racial slurs. So all that could come into play. But the bottom line is, did the defendant have a reasonable fear of her life? And look, by all accounts, the answer is no.
Well, only she can know that, right? I mean, if you have somebody trying to break in your door, if you tell them, get off my property, does that change anything? If you don't get off my front door, my porch, I'll shoot you.
That could change things, yes, if there's evidence of that. But the sheriff did an investigation. Apparently, there's no evidence that the victim was trying to break in, or else that would be a consideration. Look, if someone is at your door who's uninvited, is banging on your door, and you say, get off my property, and then threaten to shoot, you can take that in consideration. Now, does it mean you'll stand your ground? It's up to a judge. And then ultimately it's up to a jury if it goes to trial. But all these facts come into play. And apparently, according to the sheriff in his investigation, there is no stand your ground here.
And how have some of these past cases played out in court for the defendants? Have any won? Talk about some of those cases.
Yeah, some of the defendants have won. Now, it's tough for prosecutors because originally stand your ground was meant to say your home is your castle and anywhere else you go. If you are in reasonable fear of your life, you can meet force with force. You can defend yourself. You have no duty to retreat. That's where the sheriff says, yes, I agree with the law. What's happened, though, in recent years is that the Florida legislature, at the request of the NRA, has expanded stand your ground. Now it's up to prosecutors to prove that you weren't in reasonable fear of your life. And you have a separate hearing. You go to a judge. And if the judge disagrees with prosecutors, case closed, there is no trial, it's over. And that's why there was a delay in the arrest in this case, because law enforcement was required to investigate, because the burden is now on us, on law enforcement and prosecutors. It's a big boost for defendants who use guns in their mind to defend themselves. They get the benefit of the doubt now.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find.
Okay, so definitely it's I followed this case when it happened, and I watched the documentary when it came out, and still I think that the jury got it right. What happened in those 12 years? I'm not sure, right? Because I mean, maybe it was the circumstances. I don't know. Maybe it was some more time, but the fact that you can be it and in all disclosure, right? In my 20s, I was living with a boyfriend, and there was a man who was a friend of his who was banging on the door quite heavily. I believe he was on some sort of drugs, and he was trying to get in the home, and I was home alone, and I had my boyfriend's firearm with me, and I was on the phone with police saying there's someone trying to get in my home, and I was ready to use deadly force if I had to. And of course law enforcement came in and intervened and intercepted him and everything like that. But so I do believe there, if you're in your home and you're fearful for your life, that you can, protect yourself. That has never been something we said you can't do. But this woman blindly shot through her door. This wasn't someone trying to get into her home. This wasn't someone who had made death threats. This wasn't someone who was an agitator. She was a mom and if someone had done this to my kids, I would walk my butt on over to my neighbor's house too and knock on her door and say, what is going on? What did you do to my kids? I would absolutely confront that neighbor. And so when you can blindly shoot through the door, I mean, she could have shot one of the kids. She shot this woman in front of her kids. It is absolutely disgusting, irreparable, just oh, I can't even. So who wants to chime in? This woman's gonna get what she deserves. Ultimately, I believe she'll spend the rest of her life in prison. She's really fucking old to be in jail. So she's probably going to die in there.
She got
And
25
whatever
years.
happens after that, that's up to God, right?
She got 25 years in there. The only problem with that is that there is a clause where you can petition to get out if you're dying, really sick. They'll petition for you to get out, but I don't know. I think I'd be out there petitioning for her to stay in. She killed this woman in front of her kids on the front porch when all she was trying to do is get an understanding.
Right.
I don't think she should ever get out. I mean, that's
This is
it.
why
That not
people should
only
not
did
own guns, right? Susan Lawrence is the exact reason why people should not own guns.
I
And I
told you
would
last
almost
month, I don't do guns. I told you last month. I know I'm freaking crazy, and I know without a shadow of a doubt, when I get mad, I see red. I will shoot, and I'd be sitting in the pen, and I'm entirely too freaking old to be running from Big Bertha. So no. Besides, stripes make me look fat. So I have to. My kids go, well, Mama, you really need a gun. No, I don't.
No.
No, I'm responsible enough to know that it would just not be advantageous for me, because I was taught, don't bluff. If you tell somebody you're gonna shoot them, they call your bluff. You gotta shoot them.
I
I
think
don't
if you're
want to
going to
be
own a gun, you have to be prepared to use it. And you
right.
have to be prepared for it to be taken away and used on you or someone you love. This is what people don't understand. They think that having a gun makes them powerful, that having
It
a
does
gun
not.
gives them it gives them solutions to problems, or it gives them options, right? I don't think that. I think that owning a gun puts you and everyone you love at risk for your life, their life, everything. You have to be ready. If you own a gun, you have to be ready for you and everyone you love to die.
Because
That's
once
the
that bullet
first thing.
leaves that gun, once it leaves the gun, ain't no calling it back, ain't no begging for it to come back. Contrary to what kids see on TV, there are no do-overs.
Yeah.
In Alabama, if you shoot an intruder, he has to be over the threshold. So now, most normal people ain't gonna let you get over the threshold. So the little catch to that is you better pull them, make sure their legs are over the threshold, or
But
you
see,
going to
it's so
jail.
much worse than just that, right? Because as a black woman in Alabama, if you got someone crossing your threshold and you shoot and kill them, you still have to trust, and I put trust in
Yep,
quotations, the law
yep,
enforcement officers that are going to investigate, the forensic people who are going to look at the evidence, the
yep.
lawyers who are going to bring it up, and the jury that's going to try you, right? Because you still live in the South. And it's not just that you live in the South, you still live in the United States of America, where not all men are free, right? Let's keep that real. You got to trust that this system works, and we know continually it does not. And
It doesn't.
I would not put my life in the hands of anyone in the South if I was melanated at all, because we know it does not happen that justice is ever served. And it's not just the
No, it's
South, it's
not.
everywhere in America.
And don't get me wrong. I come from the South, true enough. But there are some what they didn't tell is that there were just as many whites marching for our freedom as it was black. But they never tell that in history. And that's what I try to make sure my kids and my grandkids understand. It's all made to keep the world divided.
Yes.
Every time you turn around, it's race related. Everything that looks race related ain't race related. I'm sorry. So I just want to make it clear. I know without a shadow of a doubt that every white person in the South ain't racist, because too many of them fought for us to get our freedom. But now those that are racist, they are racist to the hub.
And it's not like they have a stamp on their forehead, right? I mean,
No, you can
it's
tell
impossible
in the
to tell.
South, if you've been in the South long enough, you always know, because when they see you coming, the expression on their
No,
face change.
that's
When
true, and
you
their body language changes, right? You always get
when you
that
in
white
the
woman who
mall,
tucks her purse in a little extra.
when you in the mall, they will walk on one side of the mall and we walk on the other.
Mhm,
Not because that's
mhm.
the way we want it. It's just that's the way they do, because they have not been taught. Every black person will not hurt you. Simple.
That's a whole TED Talk in and of itself. Yeah. I I love you, Angie. All right. Does anyone else want to chime in on the AJ Owens, Susan Lawrence case, and then we'll move on? Okay. Uh, we might not have time. I'm gonna skip forward to so I was gonna bring in Oh, okay. I'll tap on this because this happened shortly after, I think maybe even on the same day as the last podcast here in Albuquerque. There was so this is dated May 6th of 2026. So this is since the last podcast. A family is frustrated after they said their loved one was shot and killed in front of his two children outside main event in Albuquerque. A heartbroken mother faces a new reality this year. Every Mother's Day, he would text me, "Happy Mom, Happy Mother's Day. I love you." So, main event is this chain, I guess, in the country where they have lots of different events. They have bowling and they have pool and they have a bar and they have video games and they do like it's this kind of a huge building where they have all kinds of inside fun play stuff. And um this man was leaving. Now, granted, I believe it was like 1 o'clock in the morning or something. It was very late, and they were leaving. The family was leaving to go home, and the man who was shot and killed got in some sort of confrontation with a younger person, and the younger person pulled out a gun and shot and killed the dad in front of his kids. And so, I mean, when I say this is Albuquerque, be safe, it's for that crap right there. Because you don't know who's carrying, you don't know who's packing, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to try to intervene to be helpful or try to intervene to protect your family and lose your life, right? And that kind of bridges into what we have been experiencing here in Albuquerque over the last couple of weeks. So I want to tap on the shootings here in Albuquerque as we get going in this podcast, narrowing things down to what's happening here in New Mexico. So back in 2022, the federal government came in and said you have to reform your law enforcement agency because in 2022 we had a record 18 police shootings. And so we had settled with the federal government that we would do XYZ to reform our law enforcement efforts and practices and trainings and everything. And I've commented many times on this podcast how I appreciate what law enforcement has done in the sense of um, beginning to create programs to intervene on people who are having mental health crisis, on situations that are around domestic issues, those types of things. The use of force has been scaled back. More options have been given to law enforcement. Those things. And so, in the last 10 days, we have had 4 police shootings here in Albuquerque. May 24th, 53-year-old Dwayne Wilson was wounded by law enforcement during a domestic violence call because he drew a gun. May 26th, 23-year-old Jose Armas was shot and killed by law enforcement during a mental health call. They said he fired at officers from a second-story window after less lethal tactics failed. May 29th, 35-year-old Robert Salas was killed when he charged at officers with a knife. And June 2nd, just a few days ago, 37-year-old Benjamin, I did not get Benjamin's last name. He was armed with a knife. He refused commands and moved towards an officer. And he is now in critical condition. So half of the gun violence from law enforcement has ended in a death. So I want to I have 2 videos. The first one is talking about these shootings. It's really like a diagnostic, if you will, from Albuquerque Police. This is titled APD Speeds Up Process to Review Shootings Involving Police. This is by KRQE. It is a Channel 13. I don't know. It's CBS. CBS, I think is what it would be. This is their YouTube channel, and excuse me, it's not their YouTube channel. This is krqe.com /news. You can find this there. We'll go this route, and then I'm going to show you what the one-on-one with our police chief interview was like. And down on the down low, I was super excited to see a female police chief in the role, but she is very young, and that is very concerning. And maybe I'm trying not to be, ageist, if you will, but I'm very concerned with the experience level of everyone within APD. So I'm going to go ahead and share this tab, and we're going to discuss this in general, the police brutality and shootings. Here we go.
4 police shootings in less than 2 weeks have some in Albuquerque wondering, is APD repeating history? After a record number of police shootings back in 2022, department leaders promised more oversight. News 13's Junko Featherston explains how APD says it is working toward that goal.
4 police shootings, 10 days, and renewed scrutiny facing Albuquerque police.
Justice for all stolen lives! Justice for all stolen lives!
After a decade of federal reform efforts, the latest rash of shootings is raising questions for some over if APD is delivering on the promises it's made.
The Albuquerque Police Department took this a step above what was required from our settlement agreement.
After a record 18 police shooting cases in 2022, then Police Chief Harold Medina announced in 2023 a first-of-its-kind process, promising to review all police shootings in 6-month increments. He also announced more training around de-escalation, the use of less lethal force, and mentoring younger officers. Today, the department says it's still fulfilling that promise and also making other changes, especially after the most recent 4 shootings.
The chief thought we could move up that process instead of waiting 6 months. Let's do something right now, look at these in a bigger context and see if there's something we could do better.
On May 24th, officers shot 53-year-old Dwayne Wilson during a domestic violence call, wounding the suspect after officers say he drew a gun. 2 days later, police shot and killed 23-year-old Jose Artemas after responding to a 911 call over Artemas's mental health. APD says he fired at officers from a second-story window after less lethal tactics failed. Artemas's family is criticizing APD's response.
So I ask to you cops to not see people with mental health issues as criminals or suspects, but as someone who needs to be shown there is much more to life. We love Jose, and he deserved way better, and this could have all been prevented.
Last Friday, officers shot and killed 35-year-old Robert Salas after police say he charged at them with a knife.
Put it down! Put it down! Why are you? What?
And on Tuesday, officers shot 7-year-old Benjamin Siegling, saying he was armed with a knife, refusing commands, and moving towards an officer. Siegling remains in critical condition.
We are looking into these officer-involved shootings. We want to remain transparent, and we will provide information as it is available.
Speaking on the 4 shootings today, APD says there's a disturbing trend.
And the biggest trend thing we've seen that's consistent over all these years is the person who's been shot has either had a weapon, usually a gun, sometimes a knife, or sometimes something else. Ultimately, nobody wants something to result in a deadly use of force.
As APD says it's hoping to review it possible, many in the community remain on edge. Answers about what the department will find and if they'll change anything. Junko Featherston, KRQE News 13.
Okay, so like it's intense when you watch the video footage of the shootings, and our hearts go out to everyone involved. I mean, I cannot. Oh, hang on. Hold, please. Okay. It to me, I can't possibly imagine what it would be like to be the officer charged by a suspect wielding a knife. And I cannot possibly imagine being the family of the person who was killed. And I can't imagine being the person who is so at the end of everything that is their last resort in this life. But like I watching the footage, I can't help but think, right? If we're talking about de-escalation techniques and using less lethal force, why was the perimeter around the suspect so small? Right? If this is something that we're really looking at as a community, why was the perimeter like within it looked to be within 15 feet of the suspect. That to me seems very small, right? Why was the parking lot itself not the perimeter? Um, it seems to me like when you roll up on a suspect and you're really close to them, you give no room for negotiation, especially if someone is in crisis. There's no way to establish contact, to establish context, to figure out what someone's doing. It looked to me like there were not a lot of other civilians around. Why is setting up a perimeter, establishing communication, evacuating civilians, why was that not done? Right? Why was this one officer this close to this one suspect who was already called to perhaps be a danger? And, why was there nothing established around this individual? Because if we're discussing de escalation techniques and less deadly use of force, to me, as an outsider looking in, I would think that they would give the perimeter a wide berth, try to establish some sort of communication, figure out what's going on, and negotiate some sort of surrender. Because ultimately, if you're crowding someone in crisis, and I'm not an expert, but it common sense for me says if you're crowding someone in crisis and you're either cornering them or you're forcing them into a decision, the fight or flight is going to happen. And it seemed to me like that person had so much pressure on them, their only escape was to move forward towards the officer. And as soon as you move forward towards the officer, they're going to use deadly force, as is their right to protect themselves and the public. Right. So we're not dogging the officer for doing what the officer had to do in that moment, but we're critical of why it had to happen like that. And I'm not sure of necessarily all of the other instances. When you look at the gentleman who fired from the second story window, I mean, that becomes a danger to the community. But what was done to try to bridge communication, to try to set up a perimeter, to try to negotiate someone down or out or surrender, right? Where have things gone wrong? Why is this being tolerated? And so we'll hear from the police chief, Cecily Barker. We'll hear from her in this next clip. But Angie, I see your hand is up.
Yeah. First off, you have rookie cops that have never been trained in de-escalation tactics. I know for a fact, just like kids that are ADHD and they have oppositional defiance disorder, if they feel threatened, they're going to do you and not realize what they're doing. They feel threatened. If a gun, this guy that threatened with a knife, a gun, I see, okay, you might have to use a little bit of deadly force. You're supposed to be able to shoot to cripple, not shoot to kill. With a knife is up close and personal. That's
Mm-hmm.
what stun guns are for. You don't have to kill a person or shoot a person when you have a stun gun. And like this police cop, she swore she shot this black guy by accident. She thought it was her stun gun. Nobody's that stupid. So I feel like it has to be training done. And a seasoned policeman knows not to be trigger happy. A rookie shoot first, think later, and then they end up in jail themselves. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, like I try to do my best to put myself in the shoes of everyone involved, right? Because if you don't do that, right, you're not considering the perspective of everything. When you consider the perspective of whoever called 911 on the man who was shot wielding the knife, that person it at least felt concerned enough to call 911. It looked like it was a Walgreens or a CVS. It looked like, it was this public space, but it also looked late at night. It didn't look very crowded. Didn't look like there's a lot of people around. You have to look at from the perspective of the person in crisis, right? Is there some sort of substance in their system that is altering their perception of reality, or are they experiencing a mental health episode, or are they suicidal and they're doing this intentionally to invite death by cop? We know that that's something that a lot of people will tangle with. Or was this person really just upset about some sort of injustice, or were they just a mad murder? And then you have to look at the perspective from the law enforcement officer as well. To me, it was interesting because it seemed like this was and it was just body cam from one officer. And by the way, this is why we have body cams, right? Body cams are very important so that we can understand what's happening in the situation. This officer is rolling up on a scene. If you spend any time on the beat here in the 505, you have to understand that you're going to see the most crazy stuff here. And you're going to have to assume everyone is carrying a gun. Like that is, I'm assuming what all officers assume is that everyone has a gun. And if this is what every law enforcement officer is assuming, everyone has a gun, right? A knife is a little downgrade from a gun in the sense that you're right, Angie. You have to be up close and personal to use that weapon. It's still a weapon and it can still get you killed. But when you're that close to a suspect, and you have no idea what the situation is, you have no idea if they're armed. I think it's almost like the privilege of being able to use deadly force. Well, if they just come at me, I'm just going to kill them. Right? In defense of law enforcement, I have no idea how difficult it is to use a taser versus a gun. I have no idea what the odds are of. I do know some facts about the taser, right? The taser, the probes on the taser have to reach the skin of the person, which means you have to be within a certain distance, which means they have to have a certain attire on in which the probes will reach within the skin of the suspect. Not all the time does the taser launch the probes, and do they attach, and does it work? But I'm not an expert. I'm not a law enforcement officer. If law enforcement ever came on the show to talk about it, they could educate us. So there are limitations with using a taser, and I would assume that the taser would be used for situations where there's not a weapon. It's just someone who's not compliant, right? When someone's wielding a knife, it makes them an immediate life-threatening issue, like a life-threatening problem, a target. And so whether someone's brandishing a hammer or a knife, they have a weapon that can be used to harm law enforcement. And anytime that happens, law enforcement has the right and the ability, as perhaps they should, to protect themselves. But in this case, I'm wondering how come it happened like that. It should have been something that was scalable, where you can fall back. It should have never been so close. It should have never been so tight. The man should have never had so much pressure put on him immediately without finding some sort of way to communicate and resolve, perhaps negotiate surrender. And so that I'm going to be critical. But again, I'm not law enforcement. I'm not trained. I don't know what that is, but I sure would like to know the answers to that. Does anyone have anything that they want to add before we go and hear from the chief of police? Okay, so this is one-on-one with the police chief. This is from Albuquerque. Okay, hold on. This is from KOB4. This is an NBC News outlet locally here. This is Emily Faith is the reporter who published the story. It was June 5th, 2026 at 10:14 p.m. And let me go ahead and I'm just going to go into the video and we'll talk about it. Here we go. Come on, computer. Come on, technology.
Or was just able to call the race for Hull this evening. Now, Hull was welcomed
please.
out by lots of.
Let's go. There we go.
A similar celebratory feeling tonight in Northwest Albuquerque, where Republican Greg Hall.
All right, hold on.
Ahead.
All right, let me do this. I think what happened, and let me look into this. It's possible that I watched this and it went to the next story. So let me see if I can. Oh, here we go. Okay. It's just refreshing. The tab is refreshing, so I will, okay, pause. Let me go ahead and share screen. Here we go. Come on, technology. There we go.
The biggest questions right now is the spike a sign that APD is heading back down the path of the DOJ era. Our Emily Faith spoke with Cecily Barker today about all this. So, Emily, it's not just the community with that concern tonight.
APD to avoid sliding backwards to when the DOJ oversaw the department. Now, in my conversation with Chief Barker, she says she will not allow her department to slip that far, asking everyone for the investigation to be patient until those investigation results come in before jumping to conclusions.
You know, we go.
Leaving the suspects dead, prompting Chief Cecily Barker to take action.
Since 2022, we've had the officer-involved shooting reviews that are done by our executive staff, and we've moved that up to have it next week. We want to get ahead of any trends that we're seeing.
Insisting on holding her officers accountable and making changes that are needed.
Did we use the right de-escalation techniques? Did we approach the call appropriately? And making any changes that we need to specific to training.
Chief Barker is also prioritizing transparency. In the other, the suspect charged at officers with a knife.
Put it down! Put it down!
Critics already asking if APD is regressing to the DOJ oversight period following the spike. Chief Barker says APD is far from that.
I think we learned from the DOJ when they were here, and I think we have the right processes and accountability.
Action much faster, rather than waiting 6 months to a year for change.
We are able to do that.
Handled by Internal Affairs and the multi-agency task force. Once we get an update on when those investigations are complete and reports are released to us, we'll be sure to let you know.
every case is a story. It's a story about how an accident happened.
Okay. All right. Um, all right, sorry. I was like, well, they are not sponsoring this podcast, so we're not going to show their advertisement. All right, so that is our chief of police, Cecily Barker. I'd be interested to know what they come up with as far as assessment of the scenes, assessment of the interactions, assessment by officers. I mean, you can see that the responses are usually pretty intense. They come in numbers, and they're carrying very heavy firearm power. So it's to be critical, but to be critical because we care about our communities. It's important to be critical of our law enforcement when civilians are dying. So I want to know, and I'll keep my ear to the ground on this as far as what they wind up um, saying about their responses, because but you can definitely see in the shooting how close that officer was in proximity to the suspect. I'm wondering why it had to be that so close for such an immediate response. um why was the officer's door not open? Why was the officer not allowed to retreat back in their vehicle? I mean, of course, you don't know at that moment if it's a gun or a knife. If it's a gun, retreating to the vehicle won't help. But there's a lot of things that I would like to know about. The community is crying right now. The community here is broken. It just continues to fuel distrust for law enforcement, which I would like to be able to bridge that, because if we can't trust those who are to protect and serve, we really have um, I don't know. It may very well be irreparable. So who would like to chime in? Let's talk about this.
I was going to make a point about de-escalation. I think people who think about how to improve police community regulations believe and rely strongly on the idea of de-escalation, and yet it is clearly the antithesis of command and control. Grab them, tell them, shout, be very demanding, be very insulting, be in control of the situation. And I think we have to kind of resolve that dichotomy, because if you approach every problem with the maximum aggression, it can only get worse. And on the other hand, you can't always use de-escalation in every situation. But I think it really needs to be adopted as the default, rather than, well, if we think about it and we're feeling in a good mood, we'll maybe consider de-escalation. Because what we see, the result of that maximum of aggression, is that that person who is in clearly an untenable position see themselves as, the only thing they can do is fire back. Well, there's nothing productive coming from that. And I think one of these we might consider is a show about de-escalation techniques.
Exactly, right? I mean, and less lethal force. I mean, I think less lethal force is starting with a perimeter that's wider, because it gives you more options as a law enforcement officer, right? Hang on one sec. Okay, Angie, do you have...
Yeah, my husband works with the mentally ill, a job that I think his patient suits him for. Mine doesn't. And these patients are those who have a wait, they're having to be evaluated to go to trial. So these are criminals.
Yeah.
And they have to, they call it gentle. It's not restrain them. You're supposed to be, it's a way to restrain them gently without them hurting you or hurting them. But usually the experienced ones, and he's one of them, they can talk them down. They can literally talk to them and talk them down. And I don't think that law enforcement has been taught. I remember a few years ago, this lady was bipolar. She was having an episode and she was coming at the policeman with a knife. In her head, she was being attacked. In reality, it was the policeman being attacked. He shot and killed her. And I can't remember what state it was in. Afterwards, when he found out she was bipolar, he was so distraught. He was ready to quit the force because he said, had he known she was mentally ill, he would have handled it a lot different. The person that called it in did not tell him that she was mentally ill. So, even though he was really distraught, he decided to make a change and get trained and get his fellow officers trained. And I think that's the key. If you do not understand um, how to handle it, you can get killed, they can get killed, and it'll be a big mess. I know in Nashville, they don't have a lot of mental institutes. And you can see people mentally ill just walking up and down the street. It's okay. And nobody's trying to correct it. All it's going to do is make things worse. So and to me, the solution to the mental illness is getting trained. Even the people that live in the house with them. Because I have a cousin, he was schizophrenic to the max. He lived with his sister. And his sister would always tell him, it's time to eat. I'm not feeding anybody but you. Leave all your little friends upstairs. In his head, his friends couldn't eat with him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess that was her way of keeping down confusion. So, I mean, I think everybody, the family, everybody needs to have that training. If the family has some type of training, then they wouldn't have to call law enforcement unless it was a dire emergency. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think people don't like to call law enforcement at all because you never know what you're gonna get. I mean, seriously, it's really, it's not even like, at least here in New Mexico, it's, I think they say that every officer involved shootings, it involved a suspect with a weapon. I think that is the problem right there. Let's remove the guns. But half of those shootings in the last 10 days were with knives. So if you consider, I mean, if you were to look at the macrocosm of suspects with weapons, I would argue the majority of those are going to be with guns. And we are a border state. We have a lot of things coming up and out uh, through the south border into the country, drugs, weapons, people. So there's a lot of things here that dictate um, the goings on. But I remember that the governor, this had happened when there were in 2022 when there were these 18 shootings in Albuquerque. I remember the governor put the 30-day ban for open carry into effect. And this was when I had poets here for the New Mexico Poetry Summit. And the gun toting crazies took over the Old Town Plaza, with their AR-15s and their grenades and their clear magazine clips so you could see all the bullets. And I mean, we're talking like the crazies took to the streets. So, I mean, truly, if you in your community, if you're wanting less gun violence, if you're wanting less police brutality, if you're wanting more options for law enforcement to use less deadly force, if you're wanting to enforce federal statutes in your local communities as far as out of control cops, we really need to be supporting our legislators and our leaders, from city councilors to, municipal leaders, to county leaders, to state leaders, everything. We've got to be changing the law and supporting legislation to prevent this and to learn from these events with the hopes of preventing future incidences. But it seems to me New Mexico is upset. It seems to me the locally in Albuquerque, people are hurting. When is it going to be enough bodies? We always ask this question. When will it be enough? So when our leaders do put restrictions on guns, it seems to be the blowback is just disproportionate. But I would like to know when the body count will be enough, because I'd like to get there. I sure
You're not
would.
gonna get there unless it's one of theirs that's killed. You
There's
will
plenty
not
of
get there.
there are plenty of law enforcement officers killed here in New Mexico. Plenty.
But it has to be a person that can change the law, like the governor, the president. If it is not somebody close to them, it
I
doesn't
don't know.
matter.
The president has had 3 assassination attempts. He is a survivor of gun violence. At the White House
They are
Correspondents'
not
Dinner,
attempts. They
right?
playing with him.
The White House Correspondents' Dinner, having, a gunman there. All of those reporters are survivors of gun violence. All
Played
of
with
his
them.
cabinet are survivors of gun
Check out
violence.
how he got in. He got all the way in. That means civil service ain't doing what they supposed to. He was never supposed to even get in now.
Well, he
I
he
think it was
rushed,
a
yeah,
game.
and we talk about preventive measures, right? He rushed the Secret Service security check. That's how he got in. But like how he got close enough to be able to rush the Secret Service is crazy, right? And for me, we're gonna, we talk about recently on one of the recent podcast topics was religious and political violence. Enough of our politicians and our judges and our jury members and people are getting death threats. They're being assassinated in their homes, right? We see our legislators having all of this threat and death and violence around them, and still nothing is changing. And it's on both sides of the aisle: conservative, liberal, black, white, other, right? We're seeing the violence across all of those. And we're not seeing changes, right? We're not seeing fundamental changes to the way we do things in this country, in the way that we deal with other countries, in the way that we handle state, local government, municipalities. Like, there's no changes happening. It's the same. And so that the whole point is, everyone's got to stand up, join the podcast, talk about it. Let's go, right? Otherwise, what are we doing? It's never going to change, but we have to believe it will. Otherwise, we would stop the podcast, right? We wouldn't talk about it. We would stop discussing gun violence if we did not believe that there is change possible. So I hope we'll see what happens with this APD investigation for all these police shootings. But certainly, as an outsider looking in, I believe the majority of those shootings could have been prevented. As far as all the other violence that we have seen over the last 30 days, like, I didn't even show y'all the shooting at the frontier. That was a devastating, it was an absolute devastating situation. And we didn't even talk about the mother who killed her kids. We didn't talk about the 7 people in Iowa who were killed from domestic violence, including children. But so many people have died since the last podcast from gun violence that we didn't even tap on today. So yeah, so everyone is affected. Few are taking strides. I wonder, like, and it cannot be easy for those police officers to have taken a life and go home and sleep, Like, I have to believe that it is upsetting for them. I have to believe that they feel it viscerally as a human. Like, it's just, if they didn't, I mean, how are they going to feel when they go back on the job? Are they scared? And why are law enforcement not more outraged? Why are families of law enforcement not more outraged at what's happening? Why are people not coming together to glue within their community and form bridges to keep everyone safe? Why is that not happening? The blue shield of silence is not helping anything. Rick, did you have something that you wanted to add?
Well, I was going to say, I found a map that I think is worth taking a look at for a second.
For
Let me share this. It talks about the proliferation of these gun laws. Hold on one second. Let me go ahead and share screen. Share. Okay, and then I will call up that map. Let's see here. Oh, hold on a second. Let me go back.
You can also share tab. Like, if you want to share a certain tab on your browser,
Right.
you can share just that tab too.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. One second. I got a couple screens going here. One second. There we go. Okay, and then downloads and where the heck? All right, do it the other way. Okay, there we go. So back to Zoom. Okay, and share screen. Okay, sure. All right, there we go. So 27 states have adapted these stand your ground laws, and 8 additional remove the duty to retreat. So, this is, unfortunately, it's a really common problem. And, hopefully we can find some way of getting, at the national level to pay attention to this problem, because clearly, it's more than 25, that's for sure. So it's more than half the country has these stupid, hey, I can shoot you if I'm worried. Well, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but there's a lot of worried people out there. So there they are. Thank you so much. I wanted to share that with you.
And it kind of goes back to the why are we worried, right? I mean, all right, if white America, if you're still fucking worried at this point, become part of the solution, please. Law enforcement, if you're still worried about your safety, become part of the solution, right? Like that's it, right? That's the whole thing, is find a way to solve the problem. Don't continue to antagonize the issues. We have to really take a fundamental look at the deep roots of fear in this country and the weaponization of weapons. That let me write that down. That the weaponization of weapons. And it's not that this is a humorous thing, but we're artists and writers, and these anytime that you can create a topic that reverberates and hopefully will mean something to someone someday, right? This podcast, we've been doing it a while now, and it's not like gone viral, but it should have a long time ago, the things we talk about. I'm wondering how, like, when we look at day one, when we started this podcast versus now, like these years later, how people felt then versus how they feel now about gun violence. And I've always said, and I will always say, it is just a matter of time before gun violence affects you, any of you. And so if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. My advice is to become part of the solution. Use your voice. If you want to come on the show, even anonymously, use a pseudonym. You can keep your camera off. Or if you want to give us a written statement under a pseudonym, that's fine. We can share that. But it's not helpful if you're just complaining and you're not doing anything about it. And it's not helpful if you have power in your community and you're abusing it. And it's not helpful if you see other human beings who look different than you as being less than human. Everyone matters. Everyone's life matters. Everyone is important. Their life is important, and protecting that is important. And so I think that if you own a gun, if you have a gun for work, or you're in law enforcement, you have an obligation, a human, moral, ethical obligation to protect the lives of those around you. Your gun is not your default to be able to take the life of someone else because you feel afraid. Your obligation is to mitigate the danger so that you can help solve the problem of the situation. That is why I don't own a gun. I will never own a gun. And I'm not anti gun, I'm anti gun violence. And we are not anti cop, we are anti police brutality. All right. I will say that again and again and again in every podcast. Otherwise, yeah. Does anyone have anything that they would like to talk about or discuss before we end today? And I did not talk about the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. We ran out of time, but perhaps we will discuss that again, because with the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, there was a correlation. There's a parallel story with an Albuquerque man. So believe it or not, there are local connotations to that. But next time we will be back. We will be back June. Wait, hold on. I'm scribbling out this because we're talking about July. All right, we'll be back July 4th, 2026. That is Saturday, the first Saturday of every month, unless otherwise posted. We'll be back 4th of July, 12 p.m. Eastern. The topic will be America the Beautiful, Violence Starts at the Top. We're going to be discussing the violence that's been coming out of the White House, not just coming out of the White House, but the violence that's been going into the White House. Things like the Correspondents' Dinner, people toting weapons around the White House, so on and so forth. But I do believe that from the top down, no matter what organization you're in, it is going to start at the top and trickle itself down. And the way that violence and gun violence especially has been acceptable and touted and even promoted from our commander-in-chief is going to become a hot button topic for our meeting in July. But otherwise, this was the June American Graveyard podcast live, and our topic, Stand Your Above Ground. I will open the floor for anyone else who has any last minute things that they would like to say before we close today.
Very productive podcast today.
You what, Liz?
First and foremost, that this has been a very productive podcast. First and foremost, I actually was around from most of it for the first time in months because I did not have a meeting this morning, which is normally why I'm not here.
Awesome. I'm so glad. And we're either in Blitz's car or Blitz's closet. So
No, well, we were in Sam's. I did take y'all to Sam's.
Awesome. They don't sell guns at Sam's, so let's go. All right, but yeah, Blitz's book will be out later this year. We're so excited to be launching his book of poetry. But otherwise, does anyone want to read any poetry or anything that they have for today to close the show?
You see if I have something with me that I can call up.
I was pulling the book out, but then I couldn't find it. Let's see. Hang on. Okay. All right. All right. So I'll read while Rick is pulling up a poem. I will read from American Graveyard. Someone pick a number between 1 and 183.
150?
89.
Okay, 89. All right. So this is Jacqueline Stark's poem from page 89, and it's titled Alert. Written shortly after Parkland and sadly still relevant. In the community college classroom, we watch a video of the Parkland students speaking before a room full of attentive listeners at Kennedy School of Government. We look at graphs of guns per capita. The United States is number 1. My students from China, Cape Verde, Ethiopia, Pakistan just don't understand. Our phones buzz simultaneously. Alert, there's been a stabbing. A student who came in late, who always comes in late, casually mentions walking by a trail of blood on his way to class, drops forming a path from the men's locker room, from the men's room, past our classroom door and continuing down the dark basement hallway. Alert! There's been a stabbing. I look over at the 6-year-old boy whose mom brought him to class today. Curly head bowed in concentration towards the small screen he holds in his hands. Thumbs busily clicking. I catch his mother's eyes. She mouths, "Don't worry, he doesn't understand." Alert, there's been a stabbing. Suspect still at large. Students ask if they can leave. I say no. I think we should wait. Suddenly the door flies open, smacks hard into the back wall. A tall, young man comes in, asks if he can sit down. Too many police out there, he says. I needed to get away. Alert, there's been a stabbing. Suspect in custody. I walked to the door to peek into the hallway and see a tangled web of yellow tape. The sign on the classroom wall says, "In the event of an active shooter, lock and barricade door." But the door only locks from the outside and all the furniture is flimsy. It says, "Keep out of sight and take cover behind concrete walls, thick desks, or file cabinets." There is nothing here that fits that description. And that is the poem from Jacqueline Stark in American Graveyard Volume 1.
Okay, I've got one for you. This speaking to that sense of a leader who suggested that he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and he'd be just fine. This is called absolute immunity. Such raging impunity beyond the Emperor Charlemagne's sympathetic congruity. As he sits and occasionally shits on his golden throne, he flies from Mar-a-Lago to Bangor, Maine. Old King John hoped for such largesse, but whose surprised dramidity caused exactly and precisely this sort of mess. He announced from the very beginning he only likes elections when he's guaranteed winning. He initially and suspiciously announced to a paid group of actors he'd cashier the Constitution. It just wasn't a factor. Promoting lawlessness, you've seen his criminal cronies. He'll strip the justice system right down to the bare bonies. He announced he's constrained by no actual law. He can do any crime, take anyone's time, and steal anything he saw. Not only will the people let it pass, he thinks no more of killing a human being than passing some gas. The ancient paradigm of how to contain the royals. Not only will they do whatever they want, but if there's anything left, they'll steal all the spoils. They'll steal all the cash in any trade deal. He wants to grab it all. You better not squeal. He's compared to commit any crime because he's divinely selected. He thinks it's his time, and his sons and his daughters are simply biding their time. He expects his throne will fall into their hands unless we get out and vote and democracy foils their plans. They'll denounce nothing without any evidence and try again to derail democracy with January 6th as a violent precedent. So, yeah, what a leader by example we have.
So many things to discuss. I mean, it's rolling into the next podcast and the next and the next. So if you're wondering what the topics will be for the rest of the year, I'll share some of the topics with you. And I think absolute immunity is going to be another topic, Rick. So thank you for that. So of course, July, we have America the Beautiful, Violence Starts at the Top. And what an incredible day, the 4th of July, the 250th anniversary of the United States of America, to have that podcast. Then in August, Saturday, August 1st, will be All Roads Lead to Rage. We will be discussing road rage with gun violence. There are specific cases here in New Mexico I really, really want to tap on, especially the Lily Garcia case. For those who don't know, she was a toddler was shot and killed through the vehicle during a road rage incident years ago. But there have been since then an incredible amount of road rage cases that have happened here. And so I definitely think it's important to talk about road rage. September, we have Saturday, September 5th, the many deaths at a funeral, talking about the peripheral ripple effects of when one person dies, how that affects systemically the family and community of those involved. Saturday, October 3rd, we're going to bring back Spectacular Murder. Hopefully Elizabeth will be back and she can read her poem where we had the namesake for Spectacular Murder. Saturday, November 7th, we have the brutality of Protect and Serve, where we'll be circling back the discussion of police brutality that we did talk about in 2025. We're bringing it back in 2026 because it is such a prevalent issue. Saturday, December 5th, a whitewashing wonderland is the topic. Again, it is the topic and the theme of the systemic racial injustice and inequality in this country when it comes to gun violence. And then jumping into 2027, we have to regulate or not to regulate, social media questions and fight culture. That is, especially on the heels this year of the teenagers doing what they're doing to be interrupters. That'll be an interesting thing. We have All Glory to Guns Galore. There's Hypocrisy, I'm Home, The Morality Minute, Deep Condolences, Deep Pockets, discussing the lobby behind guns and the sale of guns. And then we'll bring about the duty to retreat or the duty to protect life, absolute immunity, and other things that we'll be bringing into 2027. It just doesn't stop. I would really, really like to be able to shut up and go home at night and rest my head on my pillow calmly and not ever have to get up on this podcast again because there's no more gun violence. Wouldn't that be lovely? If we trusted our local officials and our law enforcement and nobody wanted to kill anybody, that would be a lovely day. So if we could work towards building bridges and healing wounds to where we don't have to get up every month and do this podcast, that would be amazing. But We're just trying to be part of the solution here. Any last minute things anyone would like to plug? Anything anyone would like to promote before we close today? Happy Pride Month, everyone. Yeah. So if you would like more information, you can go to redorgreenbooks.com. Red, R-E-A-D. R-E-A-D. Why? Because we're poets. And it's New Mexico red or green chili. That is our lifeblood here. redorgreenbooks.com. You can grab your copy of American Graveyard. You can add the art book, and you can pre-order American Graveyard Volume 2. It is all on the website now. Please go and check it out. If you'd like to be on the podcast, just reach out to us. Let us know. AmericanGraveyardPurpose@gmail.com. Thank you so much, Rick Spisak, Angie Williams, Blitz the Poet, and Rachel Johnson for joining us today on the podcast. I will see you bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for our 250th anniversary of this beautiful country that I love, as we discuss all the things we don't love. We'll see you then. All right. Peace and blessings. Be safe. Much love to you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.